Do you know that there is a condition that someone you know might be affected by and is just carrying that load silently? Mikey G, it is breakfast hour time, and of course, it's Wellness Wednesday. And Dr. K will be joining us to share some important medical tips with us.
And that is true, factual and true. We are suffering lots of different diseases and ailments. And so each Wednesday we come here to, talk about these illnesses and how we can better live with them or eradicate them from our system. Of course, when we come back, we get into our health talk this morning with Dr. K right here on Flashpoint.
Other layout. Welcome, Dr. K. And as our listeners are waiting eagerly, because I mentioned to them that there is a condition that somebody they know might be experiencing silently. And of course, you are going to share with us what you're going to speak to us about today on Wellness Wednesday. Welcome, Dr. K.
Good morning, Lady Elise. Good morning, Mikey G. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Dr. K. I'm very fine. I'm thankful, and I'm giving thanks this morning.
Okay, that's great. So today we'll be talking about lupus, systemic lupus erythematosus, affectionately called lupus or SLE. And it's a big word, and that's why I will say lupus going forward. It's a big word to say systemic lupus erythematosus, but that's exactly what it is. So what is this thing? Now, I don't know if you've known anybody who has had lupus. I mean, I had a friend when I was in university who died of lupus. Actually, that was the first time I was exposed to lupus, when my friend was ailing from lupus and she eventually died. And then my first case of lupus as a medical student was this young girl who was living, she was probably from St. Thomas or Portland, one of those areas. She was young, probably about 17, and she had lupus, but her parents were not accepting of the fact that she had lupus.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought it was another reason, or cultural beliefs, and that was the reason for her illness. And so we were unable to treat her. They discharged her from the hospital, and I suppose subsequently she died because she didn't get treatment. But lupus now, a lot of people are living with lupus and are doing well because there are advances in therapy, and so not many people die from lupus at this, now, 2026. So basically, what is lupus? Lupus is an autoimmune disorder, meaning that your body is sensing itself as foreign. So it's building up autoimmune responses to damage your organs. Okay? So what you're doing is that your body's immune system is damaging your body. So it damages the organ and tissues throughout the body and basically causes inflammation that affects a lot of organ systems, your joints, your skin, your blood vessels, your kidney, your heart, your lungs. And that's what lupus does. So you'll find out that with lupus, because it affects so many organs or such a wide entity, diagnosis sometimes can be a little jarring because you might go and say, I don't feel this, or I have a rash on my skin, and that's basically all you have. So it's a matter of, telling your doctor all the symptoms, all the things that you're experiencing, all the things that you feel, fatigue, my joints hurt, my knees hurt, my hands hurt, I'm having a rash, I'm having fatigue. Those kind of things will help your doctor to diagnose lupus. So as we said, lupus basically is it's an autoimmune disorder where your body is producing immunity or immune complexes against your entire body. So it can affect any organ. As a result of that, there's inflammation throughout the body, and basically you are not being protected from yourself. Okay? So instead of protecting you, because normally your body protects you, but this time your body damages you because your body, your tissues and your organs are seen as foreign. So it can cause problems with your skin, problem with your joints, problem with your blood, problem with your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, just about any organ entity. So there are different types of lupus. There are, one of the commonest kind of lupus that we see is the cutaneous lupus, where lupus really affects your skin. We want to know what do you get when you have lupus? So as I said to you, the most common symptoms is that you have pain. So the pain would be in your muscles, could be in your joints, it could be in your chest if you're taking a deep breath. You could have a rash. And a lot of women or a lot of people will have this malar rash. That's like a butterfly looking, like the butterfly wings on the cheeks. And we call it a malar or butterfly looking rash. Right. A lot of people end up with that kind of rash when they have lupus. They can get fever, they can get hair loss, they can get shortness of breath. Basically, they can get blood clots because of the inflammatory process. So, but what happens with lupus is that lupus doesn't stay constant all the time. So your lupus will be fine, and then all of a sudden it flares, it gets worse. And then it calms down, and then it flares. So it's a flaring that really causes the problem. So the symptoms, when there's a flare, like the symptoms can be severe enough that it affects your daily life and causes problems. Now, we want to say, who gets lupus? Who gets lupus? What are the causes of lupus? Now, lupus, I don't think we know for sure what causes lupus, but we know that there are genetic predisposition to lupus. For example, if you have a parent or any family history of lupus, you're more likely to get lupus. And actually, lupus tends to occur as a reaction to our body hormones.
Can I ask you a question?
So,
May I ask one? I'd ask the question, if you are supposed to say join in a relationship with someone, would this be one of the things that you'll be testing for before a serious relationship?
People don't really test for lupus for a serious relationship because lupus is not exactly genetically, you pass it out by genes, not something like sickle cell trait or thalassemia or one of those things that basically you definitely will pass to an orphan, to a child down your lineage. Lupus is not one of those things that you test for, but when you're in a relationship and you get to know your family members or even the person who you're living with, then you'll know if they have lupus or not. But remember that you could be fine and everything could be okay, and the person probably doesn't even have a family member with lupus, and you could test them for that time and they do not have lupus, so they can develop lupus at any time in their life. So your heading towards a relationship and you're thinking that, oh, I need to test for um, medical conditions, lupus is not necessarily something that you need to test for. It's just like, do you test to see if the person has high blood pressure? Do you test to see if the person is diabetic? You're going in a relationship. Are you going to be testing for all of those things before you get into a relationship? And so when you get into the relationship, my HbA1c was 5. And 5, 10 years in the relationship, I developed diabetes because of whatever reason, stressful situation, bad habits, genetic predisposition. But before we got married, everything was fine. My blood pressure was normal. 10 years later, 15, 20 years later, I developed high blood pressure. So it's a condition that you don't know if you're predisposed to getting it, but there's some things that you can do. So because we don't know the real cause of it, we know the risk factors for it. So we know hormonal changes. So we know as a female, you're more likely to get lupus.
In actuality, Dr. K, I have never met a male who is facing lupus, who has this issue. And I'll ask the question also, since if it doesn't flare up, then it's not apparent that you have a condition. So you might be having this thing that's just silently, there.
So the point is that you can have lupus, right?
Yes.
And some people have lupus for a long time without having a flare.
Right.
So you can have the condition, but you're not, and the symptoms could be mild.
Right.
So you're not having a problem. Is when the symptoms get worse, you realize that, hey, I'm getting these joint pains I'm having. So, for example, I might not have the rash, or sometimes some people have the rash and not even thinking that the rash is a problem. Some people have the joint pains and,
don't make the connection.
No, I have arthritis or something else is happening, and they're not connecting it because the symptoms are so few and far between. They're not connected. So you might have pain this month and you go through a few more months and you're fine and you don't have anything. And then you get a flare, but the flare is recovered because of probably you have healthy diet, your lifestyle, and you're controlling the inflammation that happens in lupus. So you're controlling the inflammation basically with your lifestyle. And so you're not noticing, but then it's when it gets more regular. So you have severe pain now that you can barely walk, right? Or you notice that when you breathe in constantly, you're getting this costochondritis, the pain is severe. Or you might notice the rash is there and it's not going away. So your muscles are aching, things are aching, and then you realize, hey, you go to your doctor, you say, this thing has been going on for probably about 2-3 years now, but I was not connecting the dots. Say, yes, you can have the symptoms going on for a long time without even putting the dots together to know that you're having this condition. And that is why when you're having symptoms, a lot of people don't like going to the doctor and they don't like checking to see what they're having. But if you're having a condition that's constantly happening, even though it goes away and it's coming back, then it's something that you should check. As I say, the symptoms vary. It's very wide. So, but then it's not going away. It goes away and it's come back, but it goes away and it come back. Something is happening. You need to get it checked. But and the truth is that men, there are a few men with lupus. It's not very common.
So I guess that would indicate that there is some hormonal predisposition.
That's correct. Because what they say, reaction hormones, the estrogen, is the reaction to the estrogen makes you more susceptible to getting lupus. So yes, there is a hormonal component to getting lupus. And also another risk factor is where you actually live.
Mm.
Yeah, because they're saying pollution and the amount of sunlight that you're exposed to might increase your risk.
Oh, interesting.
Pollution, sunlight, sunlight, is it overexposure more or less?
More sunlight, more overexposure to sun.
Mm.
So what happens is that, remember, in everything we need to be temperate.
Right.
So if we're living in a more polluted area or in a more area that has more sunlight and we're always exposed to sunlight, or jobs, environmental issues, we're at risk. And also smoking is a risk factor, and experiencing a lot of stress. So if you're at risk for getting lupus and you're in a stressful situation, it may trigger lupus in your body. Because and people who have other autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis or other things, can that's a risk factor for getting lupus also.
I, as I
Sjogren's,
listen to that, as I listen to that conversation, sorry to interrupt you, Dr. K. Years
that's
ago,
fine.
I would have been engaged in a case study. I was very fascinated because I had a few friends who had issues with lupus, and I remember when I first heard of SLE, I had a classmate in high school and then a teacher also in high school and then I had another friend in college. So of course I did a little bit of research, and back then the idea of stress was one of the things that ranked high on a list of causes. And as I navigate life and realize that it's so almost impossible to live a stress-free life, when I consider that, I realize how important it is for us to manage stress.
Yes, so I agree. But the point is that, I mean, as I say, we're exposed to stress on a regular basis, but it's how we deal with stress. So you can be in a stressful environment, but your entire relationship or the way you deal with stress is what is important. So when you're and it's constant stress, because yeah, you're worried about say for example somebody who is in an abusive relationship. They're constantly, it is not something that the only time they probably get some peace is if they leave the house, and even then they're still looking behind their backs to see if that person is anywhere near, so they're living in a fearful and a stressful environment. No, that is a stressful situation, that until that person comes out of that situation, there's no relief from that stress. Or for example, and I wouldn't even, somebody's have a bad diagnosis, which is a stressful situation too. But even then, it's how you deal with the diagnosis, how you deal with it, how do you take it? Do you make it to the point where you basically not eating, not sleeping, not whatever else? You are in a relationship and the relationship ends, whether it's in a divorce, your child dies. Those are stressful situations. However, even then, you have that stressful situation, but there are times when you are able to, your friends come over, you're able to laugh and smile and go have fun, ice cream, or your friends might say, let's go here, or your family members might try to take you away from that environment. Yes, so you get a break from that stressful situation. But there are times when you're constantly exposed to the stressful situation, that is the problem that is going to cause damages to your body, because stress
So,
causes inflammation,
so,
and we
so,
have to, stress increases your inflammatory process.
so you'd say then, Doc, on the scale of 1 to 10, that stress also would cause maybe cancerous environment for the body and create that in your system. Would you say that? We're not
Because
talking about cancers today, but I think this is a form of
what
cancer.
stress
Would this be related
what
to?
stress does what stress does, it causes a change in your body's response to many things. So you're exposed to cancer cells. We're exposed to cancer cells every day because the air that we breathe, just our regular metabolic processes, we produce free radicals, and free radicals are something that damages our cells, cause mutations and other things. We have stuff that we eat and supplements that we take which are antioxidants, which basically get rid of those oxidizing free radicals that we would produce generally and get them out of our body. Now, when you have a buildup of stress, what it does, it increases the inflammation. So what it does for you, it decreases your body's response to whatever is going to come against you. So the bad things that you're putting in your system, the bad things that you're exposed to, when you are having stress, you're decreasing your body's response. So your immune system is being taxed. If your immune system is being taxed, then it's not optimal. So you're susceptible to anything that comes your way.
Wow.
And that's why when people are in a stressful situation, they get sick. People are in a stressful situation, you hear say, boy, them have cancer. And it's not that the cancer cells probably weren't there, but the cancer cells are now, the body immune system is not optimal, so it's not recognizing these mutations or these cancer cells to chelate them and get rid of them out of the body. Because that's what happens. You're exposed. Your body is not overwhelmed. That's why it's good to have a healthy immune system. That's why it's good to rest. That's why it's good to manage your stress. That's why it's good to get a little bit of sunlight. All of those things, vitamin D, all of those things help. So yes, stress actually hurts.
I am reminded, Dr. K, I know the conversation is related to systemic lupus, which is an autoimmune condition. If you're just joining us, of course, it's Wellness Wednesday, and this conversation is just, it touches the heart. You know why, Dr. K? Because we live in a world that is not free of stress. You say prolonged stress. As long as you're living and managing stress, I wish, not that we want to take a magic pill, but it's such a delicate balance because each of us at every stage of our life have some situation that we have to deal with, and constantly. And as long as you're alive, that is what you have to deal with. And now you're saying, what is something that we have discovered in life, that a broken spirit, according to Proverbs, dries up the bones. You know, the Bible actually says that when we are stressed, it affects us. And how we can manage this stress is going to be paramount in how we navigate life.
And that is absolutely true. And that is why the Bible again says, be anxious for nothing.
For nothing.
Be anxious for nothing. And sometimes it's you question, how can God say be anxious for nothing? What does that mean? Because, you know, and that's exactly what he says, be anxious for nothing. Be anxious for nothing, but with prayer and supplication, make your requests be known unto God.
And you know,
and
this is
that is a powerful statement when it comes on to us who are Christians and managing stress. It says, be anxious for nothing, mean that whatever comes your way, the Bible says, and if he says, be anxious for nothing, but with prayer and supplication, make your request be known. What does that mean? That regardless of the stress that we're going or the stress that we're we're supposed to take it to him.
Here's where I'm going to go. I want to say thanks.
It's a faith thing. It's faith-based.
Thank you, Dr. K, for this morning's experience right here on Flashpoint. And I think adding to that would be stay away from crazy people, you know, make you crazy. Will you don't answer that? I would say thank you, Doc, for joining this morning.
Well, you know, what I would want Dr. K to do before she goes on, she has spoken at length as it relates to lupus, another autoimmune disease. She has mentioned several others during her series, or Wellness Wednesday, and we are back at this space. If you were to address a listener, a viewer, somebody who has just hopped on here, I mean, maybe you are not experiencing any of these conditions, but you know, I like how you just packaged that a while ago, and often when we go to doctor, that aspect is missing, that faith-based approach to how we navigate life. So I just want you to just summarize your points as you just mentioned lupus. Just give us one final statement to our listeners and viewers who are tuned in and on this Wellness Wednesday.
Right. So lupus, in summary, is an autoimmune disorder. What that means is that your body is recognizing itself as foreign and causes damage to your organs and to your tissues of the body. So your body is not protecting you anymore, it's damaging you. And as I say, the symptoms are so wide that you're probably not aware that what you're having is lupus. Because of course, you might have muscle aches here and there, which will go away, come back. And sometimes it's few and far between. Sometimes it goes away for months, so you don't even realize. Sometimes it could be days, sometimes it could be weeks. But it's when it gets really, really bad that you're actually seeking medical attention. So it's a matter, if you have a regular relationship with your doctor, every time you go, doctor will say, how are you doing? So the next time you go, you say, I'm still having this joint pain, or I'm still having this rash that's not going away. So it's a matter of having that relationship. And remember that lupus is common mostly in females between 15 and 44 because of that's when you have the estrogens. Remember, a menopause can happen between 45 and 55. And that's when your estrogen levels are waning. So that's why lupus tend to be more common between 15 and 45. That's when your estrogen levels basically are at peak. And as I was saying, there are a number of risk factors. You're genetically predisposed to it, your environment where you live, pollution, smoking, stress is so important, because lupus is an inflammatory condition, meaning that because it's damaging your body, you produce a lot of inflammation. And believe me, stress in itself produces a lot of inflammation. Smoking produces a lot of inflammation. Pollution produces a lot of inflammation. And all of these things can predispose you to lupus, or even worse than lupus. So the thing to do, if you have lupus, or even if you want to make sure you have a healthy lifestyle, and a lifestyle that's basically one that's going to decreases your inflammation, your diet, your exercise, again, your sleep, the way you manage stress. And Lady Elise and I were talking about stress, and we said, we live in a stressful environment, and it's true. And if you notice now, I don't know if our parents and grandparents and great-great-grandparents had the amount of stress that we have now, and I doubt it. Because every day you can't even turn the television on, you can't even walk outside or talk to anybody. It's everything. It's your finances, it's your relationship, it's your children, it's a matter of a constant stressful situation. And what we're eating and everything we're going through right now is not even doing anything for it. But we are assured that if we believe in God, and we believe the Bible, and we believe His Word, He tells us. And as I was saying, there's one, when it comes on to stress, I always quote this that says, be anxious for nothing, but with prayer and supplication, make your requests known to God. Meaning that you're supposed to take it to God and not worry about anything, because if He made you and He tells you that we need to believe. And so it's a faith thing, it's a belief in God that regardless of what's happening to us, He will take care of us.
That's a mouthful.
Thank you so much, Dr. K. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you bringing all that information, that wealth of information, taking time out of your busy schedule to share with our listeners and viewers. If you're logged on today for the breakfast hour, please go ahead and share the link and send it to someone who you think will benefit from the conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. K.
I want to also add my quote of thanks to you, Dr. K, for the wealth of information that you have just exposed us to, and of course, very meaningful ones. Many persons I know who will come across this podcast or TV show will definitely be benefiting from this information. And I'm thinking that next week we should look at the other one that we were talking about earlier, but I guess later on we'll talk about that some more, because the Cayman Islands is actually experiencing some level of outbreak or heightened awareness of some disease that is circulating. I think we need to take a look at that one, and then when we come back next week, we'll definitely be talking about this. For those who are exposed to that conversation and information, of course, catch us here next week. I think meningitis is the name of the disorder that we're talking about. And so next week we can come back and we can definitely have a conversation on that one. Thank you, Dr. K. It has been a pleasure having you here this morning. Of course, for those who are joining us this morning for the first time, thank you for joining, and of course, continue to enjoy. Of course, when we come back.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
When the world quiets down and the noise of the day fades away, that's when the real conversations begin. The ones we hide, the ones we fear, the ones that need to be heard. Conversations After Dark with Mario, where the silence ends and truth begins. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m., Mario takes you on a journey through the real, raw, and rarely spoken truths that shape our lives. From personal battles to family struggles, community wounds to silent traumas. No topic is too taboo, no story too deep. It's not just talk, it's healing. This is a space where shame is shattered, silence is broken, and truth finally speaks. Conversations After Dark with Mario, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. only on Flashpoint Radio, www.flashpointmedia.ky. Stay up, speak up, heal forward.
Join us for an unforgettable evening of praise and worship. Clifton Hunter High School presents One Voice, One Praise, happening on Saturday, March 28, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Clifton Hunter High School Performance Hall. Come and experience powerful performances by students, teachers, churches in the community, special guest visitors. Adults $10, children $5. All proceeds go towards supporting the Key Club and Spanish Venture. Don't miss this uplifting night of worship, unity, and inspiration. See you there.
It's important that we keep abreast with what's happening, because certainly we are bombarded. We are not absent. You might try to run away from the news, but the news will catch up with you somehow. And of course, we thank Coralee Karen for being such a diligent news anchor, sharing the news with us each and every day, not just in Cayman, but across the Caribbean, across the world. So, of course, it's time for our news.
Of course, this news is brought to you by Lasco Food Drink and Lasco Products right here in the Grand Cayman Islands. Of course, when we come back,
Good morning, I'm Coralee Karen, and here are your top stories making headlines today. Cayman sees sharp rise in citizenship approvals. Nearly double the number of British Overseas Territories citizen applications have been processed so far this year compared to the same period in 2025. Figures from the Deputy Governor's Office show that 337 applications were approved between January 1st and March 22nd, up from 173 last year. Despite technical issues with the online portal in January, naturalization ceremonies have continued throughout the year. The approvals include applications by residents, registration, and marriage. Officials say processing times for new applications are currently around 8 months, within the expected 6 to 12 month window. Additional staff have also been brought in to help reduce delays. Caribbean divided over Cuban medical missions. Caribbean countries are taking different approaches to Cuba's long-standing medical program as pressure mounts from the United States. The British Virgin Islands has confirmed it will maintain its agreement with Cuban healthcare workers, with officials saying there are no plans to terminate the arrangement. In contrast, Jamaica has ended its decades-old agreement but is seeking to renegotiate a revised version that complies with international standards. The U.S. has raised concerns about working conditions under the program, while Cuba insists participation is voluntary and supports its healthcare system. Cuba prepares for possible U.S. tensions. Cuba says it is preparing for the possibility of military aggression from the United States, though officials stress they hope tensions will not escalate. The comments come as the island faces ongoing power outages due to fuel shortages and aging infrastructure worsened by restrictions on oil imports. Despite the challenges, Cuban officials say they remain open to dialogue with Washington. Meta found liable in child safety case. In the United States, a jury in New Mexico has found social media company Meta liable for endangering children on its platforms. The case accused the company of failing to protect minors from exploitation and harmful content. While the state sought over $2 billion in damages, the jury awarded $375 million. Meta says it will appeal the decision. Investigation continues into New York runway crash. U.S. officials are urging caution as investigations continue into the deadly runway collision at New York's LaGuardia Airport. 2 pilots were killed when an aircraft collided with a fire truck. Authorities say it is too early to conclude whether air traffic control played a role, noting that multiple factors are usually involved in such incidents. Shift in abortion access across the U.S. A new report shows a growing number of women in U.S. states with abortion bans are turning to telehealth services to access abortion pills. In 2025, more than 90,000 prescriptions were issued via telemedicine in restricted states, a significant increase from the previous year. At the same time, fewer women are traveling out of state for procedures, indicating a shift in how abortion care is accessed. And that's your news update for this morning on the Breakfast Hour. I'm Coralee Karen. Continue to stay with us for more updates throughout the day.
This week on Conversations After Dark with Mario, the heat is turned all the way up with a bold and controversial statement. Women are the real liars. Is it true? Perception? Or a claim that deserves to be challenged? Well, join Mario this Wednesday night at 10 p.m. on Flashpoint as he opens the floor for a powerful, unfiltered discussion. Expect strong opinions, real life experiences, and a conversation that goes beyond the surface. Listeners are invited to tune in live at www.flashpointmedia.ky and be part of the discussion by sharing their views via WhatsApp at 345-321-6969. That's 345-321-6969. This is not just another conversation, This is where perspectives collide, truths are questioned, and believe me, voices are heard. Conversations After Dark, where nothing is off limits.
Join us for an unforgettable evening of praise and worship. Clifton Hunter High School presents One Voice, One Praise, happening on Saturday, March 28, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Clifton Hunter High School Performance Hall. Come and experience powerful performances by students, teachers, churches in the community, special guest visitors. Adults $10, children $5. All proceeds go towards supporting the Key Club and Spanish Venture. Don't miss this uplifting night of worship, unity, and inspiration. See you there.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Breakfast Hour. Today is National Manatee Appreciation Day, National Sea Cow Appreciation Day. You must learn something, between what Dr. K said and what we are ending the day with. I hope that you have certainly enjoyed the time spent here. I certainly have enjoyed it. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. You know what you need to do. And thank you so much for tuning to the Breakfast Hour right here on Flashpoint Media.
Of course, www.flashpointmedia.ky. Of course, Flashpoint Radio FM continues to play all day. Of course, catch us when we come off the live and we're not on our platform here. Definitely, we are on radio, and so you can catch the rest of the conversation there. We start at 6:30 a.m. every morning, and of course, we start with the music and all of that. So you can catch us on Flashpoint Radio FM every morning at www.flashpointmedia.ky. Of course, you can check out our Flashpoint Radio app as well. And so we will definitely continue all day today on our app and on flashpointmedia.ky. Continue to enjoy. Have yourself a wonderful day, and thanks for sticking and staying with us this morning right here on the breakfast hour. Have yourself a wonderful day.
And also, remember to join us for Conversations After Dark with Mario, happening this Wednesday night at 10 p.m. You don't want to miss this.
Mario is contending, ladies. I just closed the show and then we're coming back for this. And she says, the topic for tonight is, are women liars or something to that effect? Is that what the topic is? You know what? I'm going to leave it for Mario to discuss. And of course, guys, catch him tonight at 10 p.m. right here in the Grand Cayman. Flashpoint time, 10 o'clock. Sharp. Yes, Grand K. www.flashpointmedia.ky right here in the Grand K. Woman them lie. That's what Mario's saying. I don't know. He's asking the question. Whether or not women are liars or men are. I don't know if that's what he's going to clarify that later on. Let me just leave it. And I'm going to mix him up too much.
All right, can you leave it to Mario? Thank you so much. Thank you, listeners and viewers. Thank you for tuning in to the Breakfast Hour. See you next time, same place.
This week on Conversations After Dark with Mario, the heat is turned all the way up with a bold and controversial statement. Women are the real liars. Is it true? Perception? Or a claim that deserves to be challenged? Well, join Mario this Wednesday night at 10 p.m. on Flashpoint as he opens the floor for a powerful, unfiltered discussion. Expect strong opinions, real life experiences, and a conversation that goes beyond the surface. Listeners are invited to tune in live at www.flashpointmedia.ky and be part of the discussion by sharing their views via WhatsApp at 345-321-6969. That's 345-321-6969. This is not just another conversation, This is where perspectives collide, truths are questioned, and believe me, voices are heard. Conversations After Dark, where nothing is off limits.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll all seem better outside. Just us in the sky. I will go
yourself a flashpoint day. Start your breakfast the flashpoint way and cruise through lunch and then to dinner. With Flashpoint Radio. Flashpoint Radio is a class. Flashpoint Radio for gospel, inspiration, motivation, and meditation. Anywhere you go, take Flashpoint with you. Flashpoint Radio.